Well, here we are on the third module. Okay, so we've talked about what is leadership. All right, we've started to wrestle with what kind of leader we want to be. Servant leadership. Okay, empathy. All right, understanding our team. Okay, empowering them, seeing them bigger than what they maybe see themselves. Okay, we're going to get in this third module. I'm going to do 4 things with you. Okay, and I found these 4 things so critical in my leadership journey. All right, vision. Okay, if you can't paint a verbal picture of the future, then what are you leading? That's the question. Are you aligned with the vision of the organization you're a part of? Have you bought into it? Or are you just seeing how it is and gonna take the paycheck and you're good? Okay. If you don't align with the vision, if you don't align with the purpose and the mission of your organization, as a leader, you will always feel quite a little bit out of step. That's why when you go for jobs as a leader, you've got to really make sure that you're happy with the organization. Okay? You can't lead organizations authentically. You can lead them, but you can't lead them authentically if you don't align with the vision. And I've had a few of those situations in my journey. Okay. Vision. We're going to talk about decision making and planning. All right. A little bit managerial. Okay. But it is one of the things that's going to trip you up. Often you're given those basic responsibilities of timesheets, planning, staffing, things getting manufactured and budgets, and you're starting to get all these bits and pieces, and you've got to get your head over it. Okay, you've got to find out what are the key things you need to know. Otherwise, the machine's going to go really quickly once you land in that job, and you'll be a little bit blindsided. So you need to move really quickly in this one: decision making, planning. Get on top of it. Know your responsibilities inside and out. Okay, dive into it. Write it 1,000 times, whatever it is. Verbalize it, record it, video it, whatever it is. Make sure you know what decisions that you have to make and what planning you have to do. Okay, those 2 things are going to really come together in the second piece of this module. Communication. All right. If you can't communicate, your team don't hear from you. They hear from you too much. They hear from you too less. Your boss doesn't hear from you. Your customers don't hear from you. Whatever it is, communication is so critical, and you're always communicating. That's the hard part. You think, well, I'm not communicating much at the moment. You're communicating. Okay, you're always communicating. The question is, what are you communicating? Okay, how do you stay connected to your supervisor, to your boss, to your manager? How do you stay connected to your peers? How do you stay connected to your team? Right. Always remember you're part of that group. Okay, communication, another key. We'll talk about that. And building your team. Okay, just some hints and tips. Get that off going really, really well. Okay, I'm going to share a story to kick this one off. I just moved to another country to take on a role. All right. And I've taken a role on a university campus, and these people all become amazingly great friends and champions of me and my family over time. But when I first landed, I was a young 30-year-old little Aussie, and I was excited about this new position that I'd been given. Okay, so I landed and welcomed. I had this morning tea where about 25, 30 of the staff of the leaders that I would be leading now were there having this beautiful morning tea. Okay. And I'm being introduced and we're chatting away, and I talk a little bit about me and my family, and and we're sort of probably about halfway through the event of backwards and forwards and questions, and this 2 staff stand up and they go, well, if we need to talk to you, we will. But yeah, we'll see you later. And I don't think we're really going to need much. So, bye-bye. And left the meeting. And they were older gentlemen, but they'd been around a long time. That they knew their stuff. And at first, I was offended. At first, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm the new leader." That quickly went away. I'd learned enough in the first 10 years of my leadership to not get easily offended. And so, in that journey, I went back to my room that night with my family, and I thought, "Man, it's gonna be tough." And I was reminded of a book I read many, many years earlier, 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard. Read that book, okay? That book transformed again. It was about situational leadership, and I'd read it multiple times and used it, even spoke on it. But all of a sudden, it became really clear, okay? So I went down to the local bookstore, bought the book off the shelf, went back home to the little book, and I flicked through it again and I read it, and I realized, it's just the way you lead people. Everybody is in a different place in that quadrant. Okay, when you understand situational leadership, we'll talk a bit about that. Okay, everyone was different in that quadrant, and I could identify where these two gentlemen were, and then I could identify how I was to lead. What I can tell you is those two gentlemen became really great friends of mine in the journey, and I have a huge respect for them. They were champions. They had held courses in that university for years and years, and they continued to expand their careers in what they did. So never ever judge that first interaction. Okay, I'll say a second one to you. I joined a hospital training company. I'm not a health person, right? And this person became a good friend as well over the course of me working there for nearly 3 years. But when I first joined, I was not a nurse. All right, so I was joining this nursing training company. My skill set was developing courses and training, okay? And then bring the subject matter experts together, bang, make an effective course, roll it out. That's what we did. So I was hired by a guy who wasn't a nurse either. So there was two of us now. All right, so again, the lovely introduction, morning tea. Watch out for the morning teas. When they introduce you, they can be a little bit toxic, all right? They can be fun too, depending on the food, all right? So we get there and we're having morning tea. Maybe an afternoon tea actually, because they were working during the day. Introduced again. Hello, this is Andrew. He's the new training manager and da-da-da-da. And little questions here and there. And then this one trainer, one of the educators there, wonderful, wonderful person. Forthright, bang. You're not a nurse, are you? They've discovered it. Well, of course I'm not a nurse. And I said, well, no, I'm not a nurse. So how do you expect that you're going to be able to lead our courses if you're not a nurse? I said, well, that's my expertise, is putting together programs and getting the most out of people and educational practice. Okay, and seeing you as educators champion. Your job as educators will be to champion those young people and see them exceed. Okay, all right, we'll see how it goes over the course of that 2.5 years. Now, I left that meeting going, man, I've got a battle here. But whenever you leave those sort of meetings, remind yourself, what are the skills for me to influence? Okay. These 3 areas, when you understand the vision, okay, you know the planning, decision making that's got to get done, okay. You start building effective communication strategies, staff meetings, one-on-ones, monthly, that rhythm of communication, okay. We'll talk about that rhythm, all right. And then lastly, building that team. When you get these fundamentals together, okay, you really start to pull your team together. Okay, you'll set off well, you'll set off strong, and you'll have a little bit more confidence. Okay, hopefully a great deal more confidence in what you do. That's what I believe anyway. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So I would encourage you. Okay, grab a hold of these 4 things. All right. You'll have many stories yourself in your own leadership journey. You'll hear some of mine in the adventure. But hopefully these 4, I know these 4 will be critical for you. And as you master these over your leadership adventure, you're going to learn a great deal. See you on the other side.